Hello, this is Laura Medeiros. This video is a follow-up to the September 15th City Council meeting for Moreno Valley regarding the animal shelter. There are several subjects that were talked about, and I'd like to just clarify some of those scenarios. The first thing I'd like to talk about is the grooming program. This program was originally set up by me, about 10 years ago, and I had donated money for specific Cocker Spaniels to get haircuts. I realized after a while of speaking with some rescue groups that sadly a lot of animals get put to sleep, and I realized that if they got haircuts they would look great and get homes. So after that went along pretty successfully, then I started donating more and more money to the Moreno Valley Animal Shelter for grooming different dogs. I managed this program for many years and eventually was able to get private donors very interested in the program. I sent them a before and after picture. So they were very excited that their donation to groom an animal actually was very instrumental in that animal living instead of dying. And usually these animals get homes within a day or so. The other benefits include being able to scan the animal better once all of the mats have come off. And a lot of times the groomers that I had instructed to also rescan once they were finished with the haircut did actually find owners, and the animals were able to leave the shelter very quickly as compared to sitting there for days and days. So I always had the animals groomed almost immediately so that we could pick up any of these additional problems. And a lot of times we found medical things, and I had those resolved also. Tumors, hernias, ear infections, things that would make the animal feel very uncomfortable. And I paid for those also. But it was an added benefit, and then the taxpayers were not burdened with the extra cost of the animals being in the shelter that much longer. So it was a really good thing. A couple of months ago, I was told by one of the groomers that we were no longer able to pay them because if they received money, it had to be given to the City of Moreno Valley's general fund and could not be appropriated for a specific animal. And this is usually what happens when you donate money to a shelter. And a lot of times the directors will not let you put that money for a specific animal. So now it's turned into quite an ordeal because many animals weren't groomed before the 5-day adoption event. This is one of those animals. His ID number is 454479. A very small chance now of getting adopted. Even if this animal could not have been groomed, if he had a medical issue, I still would have had the animal given a bath. So many repercussions with this going on. It doesn't make financial sense. All of my groomers that were vet techs worked at the shelter. They actually groomed these animals on their free time, which usually was lunchtime. So it didn't impact their services at the shelter, and really everybody benefited from this. I would give the person a before and an after picture, and I also let the donor know when that pet was actually adopted, and they all felt really good, and it was going on for a very long time. Makes no financial sense to just have groomers, whenever they're available, groom animals. That animal sitting there in pain, not being adopted, and possibly losing their life. The second issue that I'd like to address is the issue with beds in the kennels themselves out on the main floor in the shelter. Huge issue. Discussions between myself and the director almost every day. He had said that he did not want any beds in there because there was no room. Now what had happened was main reason why a lot of these animals lose their life is for kennel cough. Kennel cough is a contagious disease according to the shelter. It comes about from the dogs coughing and sneezing, laying on top of each other, being cold. And many, many times, almost every day, when I came into the shelter before it opened to the public, these poor animals were out in the main kennels on the little enclosures in the kennel pen itself, food bowls and the water bowls, stacked on top of each other because they were not wanting to be on the wet, cold floor. This also caused them to be signed off for euthanasia, which is put to sleep, a lot more quickly. That is the shelter, a kill shelter's main reason for their justification for putting animals to sleep. Kennel cough, contagious. $14 worth of medicine. So the hoses are used to clean up after the dog inside the kennels, but unfortunately that water, even to this day, is still coagulating and hanging out on the kennel floors. And you could see this. I haven't been to the shelter in about 9 months. I can see it, all the pictures and the videos, that there's still water on those floors and the animals are still laying on them. Some of the excuses nowadays for not having beds where the dogs are chewing the beds, and very sadly those animals got put into isolation. What that means is when the public comes in, and even if they're looking for their animal, their lost pet, they can't see them. They're behind closed doors. And almost every animal that happened to, where it was written on the kennel cord that the dog was biting and chewing the bed, those animals are dead. People have been saying that they wanted to donate beds, they wanted to do things. This has been going on for over a year. The thinking and the speech from the director is, yes, we're working on the program, yes, the beds are coming, yes, we're looking into materials. And in the meantime, you still have animals getting sick. Rescue groups, including myself, over the years, thousands of dollars, trying to get these poor animals back to health. A lot of pregnant animals, unfortunately, lost their puppies. They were laying on wet floors their entire stay. Doesn't make sense, especially since the 2 kennel rows are now open into 1, and you have double the amount of space to put beds in there. I mean, you're looking at a couple of dogs with one only little bed. So naturally, they're all going to be fighting for that one bed in the evening, or they're going to be jumping in and out and have nowhere to actually sleep. So in a sense, the shelter is still actually initiating a lot of the health issues of these animals. And the director refuses to see that and uses different excuses all of the time. Now, regarding the animals that are surrendered to the shelter, yes, they're giving them a pamphlet. In the whole time I was there, I actually never saw a supervisor meet with somebody who was turning in their animal. It's usually the vet techs. So my suggestion has always been to have a daily requirement